Hello, Krystle, Colbow.
Yep.
Okay, and here we go. Ready? And hello, Sharee, Brynjolfson.
Yeah.
All right, great. um, so we are visiting with Krystle and Sharee today, and they were referred to us by a previous person on the podcast. It was Lisa Boulier, and she knew of their adoption story. And as I talked with them more, it was something they had been interested in talking about publicly for a long time. And so we're gonna talk about that today. And I think the unique thing, and we'll get with you guys. We all, those of us who haven't been involved in adoption in a long time, we really look at it as it's always been portrayed on TV and movies and everywhere else we look, that if you let go of a baby and you put the baby up for adoption, you're not allowed to ever have contact with the parents. And then that baby, when it gets older, may want to meet its parents, and they have to go on a detective search to meet their parents, right? And maybe that's how it used to be, but it seems it's changed. So we'll jump in there. Maybe we'll start with Krystle, and you can kind of tell how your story began.
Well, I had found out I was pregnant in the December, and her biological father didn't really, I guess his interests were elsewhere, you can say. So I had two other children that I was single parenting at that point in time in my life. And I physically knew I could have taken care of her, but mentally I knew that it would be a struggle with three on my own. So one day I just woke up and decided adoption was what I wanted, and I hopped on a computer and I Google searched adoptions in Canada, and BC Adopts came up, and I happened to go through some profiles on there, and Sharee and Kyle made the short list.
Yay. What was that decision like, though? You know, you said was it a struggle at all, or was it just something that you realized you had to do at the time?
At first it was a little bit of a struggle, but once I started talking to Sharee and Kyle and had read their profile and all that kind of stuff, and it just, I don't know, it just hit me like that was what was meant to happen.
Okay, so maybe you started looking at it, and when you met the people that would possibly be taking the baby, that gave you, I guess, better feelings about the whole thing. Is that fair?
Yeah.
Okay.
They have their whole I guess adoption couple write up about them as a couple, and their family background and all that kind of stuff, and it just, you read through them, and I'm just like, wow, they've been together a long time, and their story was just really awesome. So that's what made me made up my mind.
Okay. And so did you just look through, so you just Googled adoption in Canada, is what you said?
Yeah, I did. And the first Google search that popped up on there happened to be BC Adopts, and I clicked on there and went through that website, and that's where I found a bunch of profiles and stuff like that, and started going through them, and had kind of shortlisted, and yeah.
So did you say BC Adopt, like British Columbia?
Yes.
Okay, all right. What I'll do is I'll put that website up here so people, if they're interested, they can take a look.
I'm not sure if it's still around. It used to be, I think it was Canada Adopts, and it just branched out to it had a BC thing. So I'm not sure if they still do it or not.
Okay. So Sharee, so you were in Western Australia, right?
Yes.
Is that, okay, hang on. Is that Perth?
Yes.
Okay.
So I was living in Canada. My husband works over there, and so that's how we started our journey. We were kind of going a little bit back and forth, but mostly we were living in Canada at the time. So.
Okay. And where were you guys? I mean, were you in British Columbia at the time?
We were Vancouver.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Krystle, that's where you are too?
No, I'm actually in Estevan, Saskatchewan.
That's one province over, right? To the east?
Two.
Okay. All right. So Sharee, how did you go out? Tell me about your decision, how you came to it and got yourself out there looking for a baby.
So my husband and I had been trying for 8 years prior. We had lots of failed miscarriages. We had a stillborn daughter. And then, it was always something that was in my mind that I would like to do when I was older, once I'd had biological children. But it just made the decision easier to just get on board and just start doing that. So, so we just hooked up with some people who had already adopted in British Columbia and talked to them, and they just were like, you just got to get on, just get on with it and put your name down and start going through all the home studies and everything. And we did, and it was quick, and it was pretty much 9 months to the day that we'd completed it that Riley was born. So
wow. So Krystle, you like logged on the day that they put it on there, it sounds like.
Yeah.
So Sharee, so you had thought about adopting in your life in general, and just the fact that you had so many tribulations and big challenges, you just decided to just go for it.
Yeah.
So it's not that simple, right? Like, do you have to go through a background check and financial checks and all that?
A lot of checks, a lot of home studies, a lot of interviews, a lot of educational courses to go to. There's a lot of hurdles to get there. And at times you just want to give up and you just be like, this is crazy. Like, why do we have to do this when, crazy people are doing drugs and they're still just, getting pregnant, having babies? Why can't it be easy for us? But, it's important, and it's all a good learning tool. I'm glad that now we've been through it, but at the time it's not easy.
Do you remember how long all that lasted?
We started in September, August, and our paperwork was done the day before Christmas shut down. So,
okay.
It might have started a little sooner than that. But, I think it might have started a little sooner than that, but not long before then.
So it's about 4 months. Yeah. It makes sense, right? They want to make sure you're actually invested and not just,
Oh, for sure.
Look, I'm gonna. Do you guys watch The Office at all? The American Office?
No, I don't.
Okay, well, there's this episode on there. Michael's kind of an idiot, and he comes one day and he's like, I decided I want to adopt. And Pam says, you sure? Because, you're an idiot. And he says, yeah. And she goes, well, I heard it takes like 9 months. He goes, oh, I don't know if I want to adopt in 9 months. She's like, well, probably don't want to do it. Anyway, never mind. It's funny to me. So, Krystle, did you have to go through any pre-screening or anything? Or what was your process like to get signed up?
No, I had contacted the adoption agency, and they hooked Sharee and I up, and they had called me, and we had phone conversations, and just, we talked more in depth about what they were open to, I guess, with an adoption. Because, like you said earlier, a lot of people think that it's a baby's place for adoption and that you really don't have a choice, but you really do. And we've had a very open adoption. We had conversations on whether or not they wanted to know the gender of the baby. They were open to me actually naming the baby, so I got to name her.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so it was pretty cool. So just having those things and having those conversations with them, and it just made everything that much easier.
And what's her name?
Riley Madison.
Riley Madison. All right, write it down. So how old is Riley now?
She will be 14 in August, at the end of August.
13.
Okay. So she's 12. She's the same age as my son. So 12 years ago, there weren't like, they have all these gender reveal parties now, and that wasn't a thing 12 years ago. I see those, I'm like, man, we didn't do any of that stuff.
No, I can't say that we did anything about with any of my children.
We just drove over to my father-in-law's work and said, it's a boy. And yeah, anyway. Sharee, I know that in America, one of the big hurdles is the cost of doing it. Is that a hurdle for Australia and Canada as well? Or is it absorbed by the state?
Oh, no, it's a cost. I mean, it's not as expensive as the States. But yeah, it's expensive. So there would be a lot of families that perhaps couldn't go down this road. But there is also adoption through the ministry, but that's quite different to private adoption. So the fees for that is a lot less, but obviously you're less in control of what you're wanting or what the birth mums are wanting. Usually the children are already I believe are already placed in care. So, they don't have a choice with the birth family to have that open adoption.
Okay. So when you say adoption through the ministry, is that the church or the government?
The government, sorry.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just say because I think in America, we think ministry, we think of churches. And I knew that. Yeah. So, Sharee, had you decided beforehand that you wanted to share the experiences back and forth to keep a relationship open, or were you just open to whatever the mother wanted to do?
Well, we had been to the courses prior, and they had talked about open adoption. Prior to that, we hadn't really even thought about it. Like, we just assumed it would be closed. And then they had, gone on about how great it is for the child, and we're like, well, that's what we want what's best for her. And in our mind, when we went into it, they say an open adoption can be just a letter and a photo at Christmas, or maybe a phone call, and so we had sort of thought that, but then Krystle and I seemed to hit it off at the hospital. We got to meet her children, and it was like, wow, like, this is amazing. Like, why would we not have these people in our life and in Riley's life? So that's it just worked because Krystle's family was so open and easy to get along with, and we enjoyed their company.
And so the same question for you, Krystle, was it, what was, I can't remember the question now. What, did you go in, you went in thinking you wanted an open adoption, or was it something you did research on, and what were your thoughts going in?
Going in, I didn't know what I really wanted. And then, we started talking, and, we developed quite a relationship, I found. And it was, I don't know, it was just, I just knew. And, after Riley was born, very shortly after she was actually born, they were in the delivery room. So they were there from pretty much the moment she was born. And like I said, we just hit it off. And from there, it was just like, it just felt right that it was going to be an open adoption. So
yeah.
Yeah.
So it sounds like you just went into just wanting the best for Riley from the beginning, whatever that was.
Yeah.
And we're fortunate it kind of turned out this way.
Yeah, it's like an extended family that we have. It's pretty awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Do you guys is the open adoption pretty common? You probably have talked to other couples that adopted. I'm guessing how common is it?
Well, this open is not that common, but probably more and more families are choosing to have an open adoption. I do know other families that do see each other regularly. We have another child we have an open adoption with too. But yeah, it's becoming more and more popular, and it's just great for the kids.
So you've got two. And are they? Is your other relationship equally as open, or is it? I don't want to intrude. But
Every relationship you have is different in life, but yes, we do have an open. And when we're in Canada spending time, we see them quite a lot too. So, and their extended family has opened the doors to Mackenzie, my other child. So yeah, it's amazing.
I guess maybe now, I mean, so you think back like maybe your parents' generation or 60s, 70s, 80s, and, you know, you think of a distressed teenage girl having a baby, giving it up, and then 25 years later, they, meet. Um, there wasn't that as much of an opportunity to stay in touch at the time, right? If at any point before the last decade, really, if you wanted to talk to somebody in Australia, from Canada to the United States or whatever, you're talking $200 to $300 for 10 minutes of a conversation. You couldn't see each other either, right?
Yeah.
So do you guys communicate by by Zoom or Skype or something, or how do you do that?
Well, actually,
not as often as we should.
Riley and my youngest, Reese, they have the kids' messenger. So they've been using that lately. Sharee and I message back and forth on Facebook Messenger and stuff like that. So
yeah, it's just amazing, right? So your kids have both your kids have multiple families.
Yeah.
Like Sharee, do you have two daughters, or who are your two kids?
I have two daughters. Yeah.
Okay. So they both have like three families.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, in a way.
Yeah.
So what are your communications like, and how do you keep in touch with each other?
Well, mostly just on Messenger. We come out to Saskatchewan usually every year, and spend a week out there with these guys. So the kids all get to hang out and, rekindle their relationship, form memories, I guess. And if we lived closer, we'd do it more often. But yeah.
So are they? Now I don't know how this works. Do the kids have dual citizenship then, like Canadian and Australian, or?
Yeah.
Okay, so they can just travel back and forth, and there's no restrictions or anything.
Yeah.
What? Oh, I had a question. It left me. Do you know other couples that have had these open things, and how has it been for them, or what are some of the challenges that you might have encountered at different points that maybe you were fortunate enough not to?
Are you asking me or Krystle?
Either one, whoever.
Do you, Krystle?
I actually have one friend who, I want to say, I think it was about 15 years ago, also gave a baby up for adoption. She doesn't talk much about it or anything like that, but I believe at one point she was getting letters and pictures. I don't know if it still continued or anything like that, but it definitely wasn't as open as the relationship that we have, for sure.
Mm-hmm. There's other families that I also know who have open adoptions, and the majority of them don't see each other very often, but they do have communication. There are also families that I do know that have quite open as well, and Thanksgiving and Christmas they see each other and things like that. So that's always really nice.
It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It depends on the birth parent too, right? If they're wanting to be in their child's life and what circumstances are behind the adoption, like why they needed to place the child for adoption or chose to. And whether that people gel, I guess, as a unit.
Yeah, I agree. It's like you said, every relationship is different. Like, your relationship with 4 people all in the same family. I mean, I've got 4 kids and a wife, and my relationship with each one of them is a little bit different. So Krystle, when you were first making these decisions, what did you have challenges with family members to overcome, or how did that run for you?
No, not really. I think that they were, at first they kind of questioned, like, are you sure this is what you want to do? And, just making sure that was my decision. But honestly, when I had my mind made up and that's what I wanted to do.
That's true for most of us.
And if I was younger, honestly, and if I had a partner that would let me, I would have had a lot more babies, and honestly let other people who don't have the chance to be parents become
Oh,
parents.
wow.
I would. It was like the greatest gift I could have ever given.
Do you guys know, are there more families looking for babies or more babies that don't have family? Do you know which side of that is bigger?
I would think that there's more adoptive parents looking.
Really?
Yeah.
And there's not enough babies?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know why that is? Because that kind of...
I in some circumstances where I've heard that the birth mother wanting to do adoption, sometimes they have family members who step in, and I guess I don't know if they ever legally adopt, but they take over being a parent to the baby, or a close friend or something like that. So I know that shortly after I had Riley and I had to go and sign my adoption papers with the government here, they actually tried to get me to change my mind to keep the baby in Saskatchewan because there was such a demand for babies.
Okay.
And I looked at them and I'm like, are you kidding me? I'm like, no, I've been talking to this family for so long and I can't even believe those words came out of your mouth.
Yeah, like they're a little behind the curve there, right? They should have hit you up 9 months ago.
Yeah, like, no, I was just like, that's not me. I mean, I've already picked who's going to be the parents to this child, and I'm not changing my mind.
But that's interesting. You say that there's so many parents looking for babies and they're not there. And I know that, I don't know. I guess that it's tougher. I don't know. I wonder why that is or how it works, or maybe if parents it's tougher to take on kids as they're older. I know there's a lot of older kids that go into foster homes, but that's could be a much different challenge than taking on a baby.
For sure. Yeah, there's a lot of kids in foster care, and unfortunately, there's a lot that goes on behind with the government in foster care, different, like from Australia to Canada to the US, it's all quite different. But a lot of these children you can't actually adopt legally. Like, it's not until they have been in the system for so long before you can actually adopt them. So by that time, you've got children who have been bumped from house to house and things like that. So if you're willing to adopt a teenage child, then there is an oversupply of children. But to adopt babies or under 2, it's just not there. And we had a couple of adoptions that fell through last minute, where a grandparent stepped in or the father changed their mind. So yeah, and Saskatchewan, when we went to go pick up Riley before she was born, we had to meet with the Saskatchewan government, and same thing, they said, oh, this adoption is not going to be going through, you guys. And so we're like, oh my gosh, no. But once we met Krystle, we knew she was so strong-minded with her decision that it was okay.
Yeah. What you're saying is don't cross Krystle is what we're saying.
No, I didn't say that.
I said it, sorry. So Sharee, you mentioned that you had a couple. So you went from August to December with the process of getting signed up, and then you mentioned that you met Krystle 9 months later. So were there stuff in between that time?
You find out, people are reading your profile, but nothing else comes of it until someone has actually gone, I like that family, I want to meet them. But yeah, until then you just sit and wait. But yeah, I think Krystle reached out to us in June. Was it Krystle?
I think somewhere in June, yeah. I had contacted the adoption agency, and they asked how we wanted to communicate, and I gave them my phone number, and I believe they gave it to Sharee and Kyle, and Sharee phoned me.
Okay, wow. So that was that December to June timeframe when you had a couple of adoptions that fell through, and
No, after Riley.
because you kept going. That's right. Okay,
Yeah.
thank you. All right, that's where
Yeah.
I'm a little slow. So tell me about that process where, I mean, you're ready to do it. I mean, if you're willing to talk about it, and because I think if somebody's going to do this, they had one thing to prepare yourself for is that, gosh, I guess these things are the personal level of this is so big that someone's decision
Huge.
can change, based on circumstances from one day to the next.
It's a total roller coaster ride. 1 minute you're high because you've been chosen, and the next minute, there's a curveball and you're down, and then, it's back on and everything's great. We had one adoption where we had to drive to close to Alberta. So we were, I think, 10 hours from Vancouver for an adoption that was maybe highly dangerous, I guess you would say. We were collecting the child from the police station and then having to hightail it out of town. And we were just taking family photos with Riley and about to head out the door to go collect her, and they phoned and said, no, she's changed her mind. So, you've got a 4-year-old that you're trying to say, I'm sorry, honey, we're not picking her up today, And actually, we ended up driving to Krystle's after, because we were like, well, we're halfway there. Let's go visit. So Krystle was my, coping mechanism after that. But, that's the kind of relationship we have. It's like, if I'm having a really crappy time, she picks me up, and hopefully I can do the same for her. So, and we had other adoptions that fell through too, but, we kind of just started going into them. We're like, well, if we get to keep this baby, if we get to bring this baby home, then that's great. We're going to love on it. And then if they change their mind, we've just spent time with a little baby that we've got to enjoy. And so I think having another child that you've got to explain that to, it takes it away from you, because you're just worried about your child and how they're going to deal with that loss if it happens. So, yeah. It's
still
not
okay.
Easy, but
yeah, you're kind of trying to maintain an air of detachment while you are getting attached.
Yeah.
Or excited or ready or anything.
And that's what we had decided as a family was best, is that we were going to just love this baby and attach to it. And if we had to heal our hearts after, we'd just deal with that then. Because, I mean, it would be nothing worse than missing out on those days where you could have just, had that close bond and attached earlier if the child stays in your life. So, yeah.
So, Krystle, you've got the 2 at home now?
I've got 3 here.
You got 3, okay.
Yep. I've got a 17-year-old, a 16-year-old, and a 9-year-old.
Okay. And they all stay in close touch with Riley then?
Yeah.
They got
more so the youngest, because she has the kids messenger, and teenagers are teenagers, so.
What do you mean?
Especially the oldest. She's not home a whole lot, so.
I get it. It's once they start driving, I noticed you don't see them as much anymore.
Yeah.
So what is Kids Messenger? Can you tell me about that? I actually don't know what that is.
I believe it's an app, and you can, the parents can go through it. Like, I know I get a lot of the notifications when somebody's calling her. It actually pops up on my phone alerting me that so-and-so is trying to connect with Reese. So it's I believe I had set it up through Facebook, because I get some notifications and stuff like that through my Facebook Messenger, and it's showing me who Reese talked to throughout the week. And so it's quite cool for the kids. I believe that they can play games and make silly faces on each other's pictures on the screen and stuff like that. So I think the girls quite enjoy spending their time on Kids Messenger.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah, I didn't know they had a kids version of that, because I know that we've been talking through Messenger, and but yeah, a kids version where you can monitor and make sure make sure they're talking to the people they should be talking to, I guess.
Yeah, and you can actually choose who they can be connected with and everything too. So you put their contacts in there for them, and yeah, it's totally parents can control everything. So
Awesome.
yeah.
So Sharee, what would you, if you had something to share with people that are thinking about open or closed adoption or just adopting in general, what would you say to them?
Oh gosh, I would just say that open adoption is an amazing experience, and at the end of the day, you're doing it for the child because you want that child to know where they're from, to know who is their family, and it's just an extra. It's just more family for them. You never say, oh, that aunt and uncle can't come visit because that's too much love. You open the door. So it's the same with their birth family. Like Riley has relationships with Krystle's brothers and sister and her parents and friends, and it's just more family. Each situation is different as to whether or not you can do that with the birth family and how the children react. But for us, it's been amazing. I wouldn't change a thing for my kids. I think that it's the best for them to know where they come from. And like I said to Riley, whenever you're having time and if ever you're thinking, why did Krystle place me for adoption? What you're saying to me, Mum, is not making any sense. She has that relationship where she could go to Krystle and have a chat with her, and she knows her medical history. I see things in Riley and Krystle's oldest that they have facial expressions they do that's exactly the same, yet they're not seeing it all the time. And it's just as soon as she does it, it's like, oh my goodness, that was Madison. How did that happen? But yeah, it's just part of them. It's part of their family.
That's great. So, how about you? Yeah. How about you, Krystle? What would you say to somebody?
Honestly, it's the greatest gift that you can give. And if you have the thought in your mind that you would love to give, a baby up for adoption, don't let anybody else change your mind. If that's what you want for your baby, go with it.
I mean, it sounds like there's lots of parents out there looking for babies, and they've invested a lot of time and money to do so. So
it's a great experience. Like I'm very happy that we decided to go with the open adoption. We try to see each other once a year, and we have a great visit every time they come down. The kids have a blast, and it's so heartwarming seeing the kids getting together and making memories together. It's such a great experience.
That's really amazing. I mean, I got to tell you guys, when I heard, I guess I've heard of an open adoption before, but I never really considered what it meant to people and their kids. And I love listening to both of you talk about it's the benefit is for the kids, and that's because that's what a parent does, right? And Riley's so fortunate, and your other daughter, Sharee, that they have multiple parents that have done things that are best for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they know that they're loved by their birth parents. It's not like a decision of, I don't want you. They have that love from them. I mean, Krystle had Riley in her bridal party. Like, it's amazing, and that for them is like, oh my goodness, it's huge.
Yeah, I guess that's the thing is you think of these, I guess, these old stories about closed adoptions where they don't know their family, and maybe it's hidden from someone for a long time, and then they discover under some adverse circumstance that they're adopted, and maybe it is that feeling that like, oh, well, somebody didn't love me, right?
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't even considered that because that feeling of, so you've avoided that feeling altogether because you're just wow.
Yeah. And I think from when we were learning about adoption, there's also for the birth mums, what we got told anyhow, is that a lot of birth mums feel like my child is going to hate me. I don't want to have a relationship because they're going to hate me for what I did to them. Not, I appreciate the choice that you made for me. And I love you more because you made a decision for me, not for yourself. And I think for the birth mum and for the birth child, that's pretty important, to walk away knowing that the decision you made was the right decision for your child.
Yeah, I think what you just said is really a way to put it. It's not what you did to your child; it's what you did for your child.
Yeah,
and
for sure.
they're gonna have a much better chance of understanding that you did it for them if you're allowed to be in their life, over time.
Mm-hmm.
Not say doing it closed is the wrong way, but that gives them a little better chance for that. What were we gonna say, Sharee?
And also a lot of people think that the children are given away. Like I gave my child up. I gave it away. You're not giving it away. It's a choice. You're making a choice for them to have a better life. They're not discarded. They're thought of more highly in a way to be given something better or something that's right for now. So, I think that adoption's got a long way to go before people will see that it can be a really positive thing in everyone's life. I don't love my kids any less because they're adopted. I mean, I don't have any living biological children, but I can say that my relationship with both my girls is awesome. They're incredible. But yeah, I don't love them any less because they're adopted, or, you don't ever think, oh, well, they're not really mine. They are mine. They really are mine. They're mine, and, like Riley is mine and Krystle's. She's got two mums. So
I'm tummy mommy.
Yeah.
You're tummy mommy.
Yeah. Yeah, when Riley was little, we would say, let's go talk to tummy mommy, and Krystle was tummy mommy.
That's funny. And that's a way you can explain it, right?
Yeah.
When they're little.
Yeah.
And I think what you said there, doing something that's right at the time, because Krystle, clearly you had another baby after that.
Yeah, I did.
But
And that's what, I always thought that, maybe she would struggle with, okay, well, I was your third, but then you went and had a fourth baby. Why? And like I said, it just wasn't the right time in my life for me to raise another child by myself. So it was honestly the best decision I ever made. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Well, I think I'm exhausted from questions. Do you guys have any final thoughts or anything that you'd want to add that I didn't ask?
No, I don't think so. Riley was going to jump in, but she hasn't come through, so I don't know. I don't know if she wants to or not. I'll just run and see if she wants to, because I know she was like, "Oh, I want to say what I think about adoption." So
let's do it. Yeah. I know it's
early.
It's early in Perth. It's about 7:40 a.m. on a Saturday. So I know during all this quarantine, my kids' schedules are so out of whack. It's unbelievable.
Yes, it is. It really is.
I mean, I still got to get up for work every day, and my wife does too. But the boys will stay up till 2, 3, whatever in the morning playing video games.
Yeah.
And then sleep all day long. So maybe.
She's changed her mind. She's a typical teenager already. I knew that would happen. Sleep's way more important than. So she'll regret it later. But yeah, she was. We were talking about it last night, and she was like, "Oh, I think I really want to talk about it too, because, I'm another person in it." And I'm like, "Yeah, you are."
Well,
so,
Sharee, we've got a little bit of time. I'll be waiting a week or so before I put this out. So if she changes her mind in between, let me know, and we'll connect again real quick, great. So she can give me a message. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Sounds good. Excellent.
All right. Well, Krystle Colbow and Sharee Brynjolfson.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really, what a great story. I appreciate your time. And I hope that somebody out there is thinking about adoption or thinking about giving up a baby for adoption and giving them the life we've been talking about. I hope they can take some inspiration from what you're doing. And it's just amazing stuff, and really appreciate it. And if anybody out there, if you guys know anybody who's got amazing stories, an interesting job or interesting occurrences in their life or something they've been through, I'm looking for people. I didn't know you guys until we met for this. And so I feel fortunate to have met you, because most people I've done this with are people that I've known on some level beforehand. So Really appreciate the chance to get together, even though we didn't know each other. But looking for referrals. If you know people or anybody that's watching this knows somebody, throw something on the site. And I encourage people, if you want to see more stories like this, so go ahead and subscribe, and you'll get notices of it. So thanks, Krystle and Sharee.
Well, thank you.
Thanks,
We've been talking together about our adoption for a long time, so I'm very glad that we finally got to make it happen.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I'm privileged to be a part of that. So thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.